Happy Friday, everyone. TGIF. It is that time of day. Welcome back to the daily photography daily challenge. The Photography Daily Creative Challenge. Let's do the full name. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back. Great to be here on day 9, which unfortunately for me is the last day of the Photography Daily Challenges. It's been a blast doing these for you. It's been a blast seeing your submissions. It's been a blast teaching people, hopefully, new things that they weren't aware of in Photoshop or hadn't learned quite how to do things the right way, or not even the right way, a better way in Photoshop. As we always say, there's really no wrong way. There's just a way, and perhaps sometimes a better way. So with that said, looking forward to today. It will not be as, let's say, as creative as we've been in the past 8 days, because we aren't really building anything. We're taking the work that you've done and showing you how you can then export it. Because those are some of the questions that people always tend to ask is, okay, what if I need a size of my image for print? What if I needed to submit to a photo book or a calendar or some type of other print job? What if I need to submit it to social media? What if I'm uploading it to my website? So those are all different reasons why we're doing this particular challenge today. And that is all about how to export your images for all the various needs. I lied. I will show you one creative thing if you hang out to the very end. I'll show you a creative way to use a feature in Photoshop to adjust the size of your image. Let's put it that way. I won't spoil it as to what it is. But so if you hang out, if you are looking, well, I already know how to export, I already know how to resize, hang out for the very end for this creative thing that we will do at the very tail end of the lesson today. So with that said, Lucas, Michael, Mark, I saw Victoria in there earlier, D'Angelo, Claire, Howard's still in the house, Gail, Carrie, Claire, Jordan, Una, Cars, Agala, Paul, Lee, Richard, welcome everybody. Sam, Samantha, welcome. Glad you're here helping moderate and doing these challenges. Cheryl, Crystal, and this is in the house. So great to see all of you here. Anna, Austin, Anzi, Rod, and I could go on and on and on. So great to have you all here. Great to have you all watching. So why don't we dive in as we always do. We'll talk a little bit about the community. For those of you who are still coming in for the first time, head over to behance.net/daily creative challenge/photo, or maybe you're watching this on the replay 3 years from now. I'm going into the future. You're watching this on the replay and you want to see what was done. Well, you can see all the lessons, you can watch all the videos, you can download all the photos, and you can see it even after the fact and go through the challenges. Now, Sunday, the 26th, is the last day for submissions, but you can still, if you're watching this in the future, still learn what we did and how we did it. Of course, you should submit your images to Behance. That's where we'll be looking at them. But if you want instant feedback, like if you want to know more about like just talking one-on-one after the fact, then join us on our community board on Discord. You can click here to join. I think I've got a URL slide here. You can see it there. So it's bit.ly/PS Discord. If you join us there in the community, you can get feedback on your images that you post there. You can get those like instantly. So people are posting images there and they're getting feedback directly on those images. So here are a couple that popped in even since the last time I looked. This is from yesterday, the text challenge. So I can see some nice text effects added to this. And as you can see, people are giving feedback. I would change the thickness of the color, blah, blah, blah. So people are giving feedback on the images right there in Discord. All right, so with that said, it's time to do our challenge for today. So I'm gonna pop over to Photoshop. And in Photoshop, let me scroll down so I don't miss your new messages there. In Photoshop, we're gonna open up today's image, which is, again, it could be any image. but I'm going to show you the image that I submitted for you to download and work from. But it doesn't have to be this image. This is what we're going to be doing. We'll work with any image. As a matter of fact, the images you'll probably get off your camera will be a higher resolution than the one I submitted for you. Kiata Jones is asking, where's Terry from? Originally from Michigan. I'm now based in Atlanta. All right, so we got this image open here, and so typically in any other application, if you wanted to save a file or save something, you would just go up to File, choose Save As. And that will give you your various file formats, and you can do it as a JPEG, you can do it as a TIFF, you can do it as a PNG, you can do it as GIF, you can do whatever you want. CompuServe. God, I forgot that was where this came from. Anyway, you can do it in any format you want. But that doesn't change, or let me rephrase that. That doesn't put it out in necessarily the best format. That'll put it out in a proper format, like most sites want you to upload. Like if you're uploading an image, they want it in JPEG. But that's not necessarily going to be the right size. So some sites have a size limitation. Some sites have like they want it to be square. So some sites have a lot of restrictions on where you're uploading your image, how you're uploading your image. Also, if you're uploading an image to be printed, most print sites these days will let you rearrange or recompose the image right there on the site, but you can just save yourself a little time by putting it in the proper format or aspect ratio that you want for print. So whether it's for a social site, your LinkedIn, your Behance images, whatever it is, you can save some time by putting it in the right format to begin with. So let's talk about something we haven't seen yet. Let's go up to Image and come down to Image Size. When I go to Image Size, that'll bring up this Image Size dialog box, which kind of gives me a nice preview. It's showing me kind of what the quality would look like based on what I'm doing. And of course, I can zoom in and zoom out of that. But more importantly over here, this is where all the action's happening. So just for the sake of example, because I don't know where yours is going to come up, I'm going to uncheck Resample. And when you uncheck Resample, what you're saying, and this is important, I want to change the dimensions of the image. I don't want to change the quality or resolution of the image. So if I take an image and I make it bigger, I'm just spreading out the pixels. That is kind of changing the quality because you're making a bigger image out of just the data that's there. Or if I make it smaller, I'm making it higher resolution. But I'm not adding pixels and I'm not deleting pixels. I'm not throwing information away. I'm not adding information that wasn't there. So for example, let's say my site required the image to be at least 10 inches wide. So if I change it to 10, it'll of course do it proportionally, so it'll adjust the height as well. But all it did was just drop the resolution down to 204.8. It's still a 7.98 megabyte image or meg image. So if I go in and say, make it 30 inches wide, it just drops the resolution but doesn't change the size. So again, depending on what you're trying to do, I'm trying to get it into the right size. I don't want to lose or add any resolution, then this would be okay. Now, when would you change it? Let me cancel and go back in just so we start from scratch again. If I wanted to, and by the way, I could also hold on the Option key and hit reset. Just forgot to do that. But anyway, you can go in and if you say resample, then what you're saying is, I'm going to change the numbers and I do want to change the resolution. So let's work in inches for this for a second. And let's say that I want a nice print. So I want this to be a nice 8 by 10. And usually print resolution is usually 200 pixels per inch or higher. But let's say, for the sake of example, 300 pixels per inch is what I want. And I want it to be at least an 8-inch high or wide image. Now it'll take it to 12 because if I do it at 10, that won't take it to 8. So let's make it at least 8. We can always crop it down to crop the extra 2 inches off. So now, how will it resize or resample? You have some choices here. First of all, automatic, it will usually do a pretty good job. It'll just set it automatically based on what it thinks it needs to do. And yours might have defaulted to automatic. Now, why don't we upsize or up-res our images like this regularly? because you're adding information and it doesn't always necessarily do it in the best way. Like you can see the image starting to get soft over here in the mountains. You can see the image on the ground starting to get soft because I'm telling it to take an image that used to be 8 megabytes and change it to 24. So I'm making it 3 times bigger than it was. Well, where's it getting that data from? It's having to make it up as it go along. So luckily, we've had some algorithm additions to this. And there's a brand new, the original one was, or not original, but a couple years ago, we had preserved details enlargement. That always did a great job, better than all these other ones we've had in the past. Now we have a preserved details 2.0, which again does a better job. So if I choose that, I automatically see that, or I instantly see that the clarity in this image got better just by making sure I use the new algorithm for making my image bigger. This is something that we try to avoid, but if you have to make it bigger, someone give you a wallet size image and it needs to be an 8 by 10, and you have no choice, you only have that wallet size picture or that wallet size resolution, then you got to make it bigger. But if you're going to make it bigger, at least use the new Preserve Details 2.0. So that would be one way to do it. And if I click OK, it will probably make the canvas bigger. I can hit Command 0 to zoom back down. But now I've got an image that's at least 8 by 10, wider than 8 by 10 actually, which I could crop it down. And now I've got a 300 megapixel image, 300 pixel per inch image to print. Did it, like if I were to zoom in, will there be a quality difference? Yeah, probably. Probably will not be as good a quality as it used to be because you enlarged it. But because of the preserved details, at a glance, zoomed out, you probably would never see the difference, especially going from 8 to 24. Now, if you went from 1 to 300, that would probably yield some quality differences that you would see. All right, let's undo. Let's put it back to the way it was. Image size, one more time. And this time we're going to go in and we're going to go do the opposite. We're going to resample, but we're going to say, hey, we're going to work in pixels this time. I only need this image for Instagram. Now, Instagram has for years only needed images that were 1080 on the longest dimension. So if I change this down to 1080, now I'm saying take a 7.98 megabyte image down to 2.2. So I'm throwing away data. That's okay. You can throw away all the data you want. The quality will be the same. You're just throwing away data so it doesn't have to make up new data. That's fine. You can still use the preserved details. You can click OK, and that will make a nice, perfectly sized image for Instagram that's only 1080 pixels wide. So what I'm saying here is it's okay to size down. No quality loss usually. Sizing up, there could be quality loss depending on how big you go. Always use preserved details. And if you're sizing down, especially for social media, don't do it with image size. Because image size, you're actually changing the size of your image. We only want to change the size of the image we're sending to social media, or we're sending to someone, or we're emailing someone. So in that case, I wouldn't do image size for this. I would do what we've been doing all week. I would either go up to export and choose the export as, which is the new feature, or I would go and do what we've been doing all week, which is the Save for Web Legacy. Now, the Save for Web Legacy, for those of you who haven't seen it all week, you have your different file formats. So I like to do JPEG high quality. And I would then come in here and say the same thing. Oh, we only need this to be 1080 pixels wide. Make it 1080 pixels wide. It will adjust the height. It basically is making that 52.73% smaller. And unfortunately, this does not have the new algorithm. This does not have the new, because this is legacy, it's old. It does not have the new preserved details, but we're going down, so it should be okay. Also, when we're going down in size, we're going to convert this to sRGB, which works better on the internet as opposed to Adobe RGB, or as opposed to Pro RGB, or any of the other high quality ones for print. So sRGB is great. All right, so with that said, if I were now save that out, it was going to ask me where to save it. I can save it out to the desktop or anywhere else, and I have not changed the size of my original. So that's the best part. All right, so I promised you, actually, before I do that, let me do one more way that we haven't done yet. Let's go up to the file menu, let's do export, and let's do export as, or quick export. What's the difference? So first of all, you have export preferences. The export preferences is what you would set up if you want to do the export as. So you can say export as a JPEG, a PNG, a GIF, SVG. So let's say I want to always do a quick export as a JPEG, quality 100 or whatever you choose. Ask where to export it each time or just put it in the same folder and what metadata to include and convert to sRGB. That's why it's called quick, because once you set this up, it will take, unfortunately, the thing I don't like about this is it will take the image, whatever dimensions it is, so it won't make it 1080, and it will just make a quick JPEG. That's why it's called that. So export as quick JPEG, it'll ask me where. I'm going to tell it where, and I'm just going to put the letter Q there so we know that was the quick one to the desktop. Done. So that's going to give me a JPEG that's whatever size this image is. So if I were to go look at the image size again, because I forgot, the image size for this is 2048. So that's not what I want, because that's going to give me a specific, it's only going to give me the size here. So I'd have to first make the image size down and then do the quick export, which at that point is no longer quick. So what we have as a choice here is, instead of doing the quick JPEG, unless you want it to be the original dimension size, what we would do instead is export as. So export as is supposedly going forward, ultimately someday going to replace Save for Web. What this will do is it gives you a lot more features. It will give you the ability to change the size. Great, want that. It will give you the ability to pick the newer resampling, not preserved details, not 2.0, but at least it gave me the preserved details. It will also let you export out different instances of it. So you can say, for example, this one, if I just click export, it will do it. Or I can say, you know what? Give me a second one that's going to be half the size of that one. Give me a third one that's going to be 3/4 the size. And I can change these to be whatever I want. Maybe I want one that's twice the size. So I can export all of those, and it will make all three graphics at the same time. That's why this is cool, because it's going to give me exactly what I need. So someone asked a question, Gail asked a good question. What if I need a one for a video? I'm glad you asked that, because I'm going to show you that before we show the creative thing. That's where the crop tool comes in. So let's do a crop first. Hit the letter C, and you notice you have aspect ratio. Well, you have some built-in ones, including 16:9. So 16:9 is going to give me the one that's great for video first. Then I can do my save for web or export as or quick JPEG at this point, because it's already the right dimension. It's already the right aspect ratio. So if you need that, that's a great way to go if you're trying to do it for video. All right, next up, and we only have a few minutes, so let's do the creative aspect of this. So here's what we're going to do, because I can't not end on something creative. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the background and we're going to unlock it. So just click the lock. So now the background's a layer. Step 2, we're going to add a new layer. Okay, and we're going to put that new layer down below. Okay, that new layer, we're going to fill that with white, but we're not going to do it yet. We'll fill it with white in a minute. So let's call this one, you can call it new background, for example, or white background. Call it whatever you want. All right, so now that we've got our photo and we've got our new background, we're going to go to one more thing. We're going to go to canvas size. So under the image menu, you've got canvas size, and what canvas size allows you to do is change the size of the canvas without changing necessarily the image. So for example, let's say this is my masterpiece and I want to print this as an 8:10. But in order to get this into the 8:10 aspect ratio, I'd have to crop it, because it's not an 8:10 aspect ratio. But I can do the next best thing. I can say I want to keep all my image. I want to print it on an 8:10 with some space around it. So let's do that. Let's change this to inches. Let's be exactly what we want. We want it to be 10 inches by 8. and we want it to add the space from the center out. You can specify add it from the upper left corner down or wherever you want to position your photo. So I want to keep my photo in the center and make this canvas now 8 by 10 or 10 by 8. So now when I click OK, it's going to do this. It's going to give me that extra space around my photo. Now we're going to do a couple cool things. We're going to go to the new background, the new layer called background. We're going to switch our color to white. So hit the letter D and then toggle it, hit the letter X to toggle it. And then to fill that with white, we're just going to do Option backspace on PC or Alt backspace on PC or Option delete on Mac. It just fills it with whatever your foreground color is. You could also go up to Edit and Fill. Now that we got this would be our print, but it looks just like a image on a white piece of paper. Let's give it a little bit of border to work with. So let's go back to the photo layer now. And at the bottom of the layers panel, you've got that FX icon. That FX icon adds a layer effect. So we're going to add a layer effect called stroke. So once we add stroke, that will come in and we want to change the color of the stroke to whatever you want. I'm going to use black or gray. Let's make it black. And now that I got my new stroke, you can choose it to be inside or outside. I'm going to put mine on the inside. And you can also make it whatever size you want. I'm going to make mine like 8 pixels. So that kind of gives it that border of a photo mat, as if it were really matted in a professional frame. All right, so now we'll click OK. And one more finishing touch. I got my signature. Drag it in. And sign your print, sign your gallery print. And now have this printed. This is going to be more impressive than just an 8 by 10 in a frame. All right, and you can even add a number like 2 of 20. So that 2/20, so that people think, oh, it's a limited edition print. It's matting without the X-Acto knife. Good call, Rod. All right, so with that said, now if I were going to submit this, I would then do my save for web, export, save for web legacy, and then I could do my 1080, for example, if I were going to put this on Instagram as is, and then I could go, of course, and hit save. And now we'll replace the one we did earlier. Yep. And there we go. All right, make 100 copies, 2 of 20. Yep, there you go. So you can sell your prints. And by the way, put that in a nice handwritten font so people think you wrote, or you can just use your stylus and draw your 2 by 10 on there. So hopefully you got something out of this. This is the cool thing about resizing and being the master of your resizes, because if you know how to resize your images, nothing will throw you. You need an image for print. You need an image for your profile picture on social media. You need an image to post on social media. You need an image to post on your website, in your portfolio. You need an image for anything, no problem, because you've got the ability now to, whether it's add more canvas size, whether it's resize the image in image size, whether it's export out a specific size or sizes, you've got the capability of doing that now. One of 20 is more special. Good call, David. All right, so with that said, like I said, unfortunately, this is the end today. And I hope you got more out of this than you thought you would, because that's the whole thing about this. That we wanted you guys to know more about Photoshop, especially for the photographers that are just starting out or maybe use Lightroom and don't necessarily know how to use Photoshop. Round crop is called masking. Okay. It's a great series. Thank you. Never realized those options were available. And then this has been using Photoshop for years. Great to hear that. And cool. All right, so lots of kudos. And with that said, I am going to say goodbye because my time on this series has come to an end. Keep submitting your photos. Keep making cool art. Photographers, take your images to the next level. Do the kinds of things that most photographers wouldn't do. Improve your images. No image comes out of the camera that can't be improved. In other words, no camera is perfect at capturing. Just always look at things that you can do from a creative standpoint in your images. So with that said, Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.